Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Chad Hason, who is the co-founder and CEO of Agency Atlas with us. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Chad, for taking out time to do this with us. So, Chad, before we move any forward, let's get to know the human behind the mic. While you sip in those coffee sets, right? Why don't you talk us through your journey a bit? And also about your agency, what do you guys specialize in? What are your core offerings so that our audience know whom they're listening to, and then we take it off from there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll give you the Coles Notes timeline of my career. I started off in restaurants and bars, moved out of my house as a teenager, so needed to make some fast cash. Really liked serving and bartending, so I did that for quite a while. Got into management and opening restaurants and training servers, but eventually landed back in school and got my degree in public relations, Bachelor of Applied Communications here in Calgary, Alberta. After that, I got a what was supposed to be a summer job at Can Olympic Park, which was our inner city ski hill and the location of the '88 Winter Olympics. And that turned into like 6 years of one of the best jobs I ever had. And in those 6 years, I ran the events department. And they went through a rebrand across the board from the Calgary Olympic Development Association into Winsport Canada. And I got a front row seat of some of the global champs when it comes to rebranding and how that happens. And I fell in love with the process. So I switched careers over to marketing, got a job as a brand strategist at a local agency. Did that for about 5 years and then started my own consultancy doing brand strategy and met a gentleman by the name of Robbie Gilchrist, along with a few other people that did creative execution of, excuse me, some of the strategies that I put together for marketing. So we found ourselves working together both with our small businesses. And then to make a long story somewhat short, a few years ago, we decided to join forces under the banner of Agency Atlas. And that's what we are now. We're a boutique full service marketing agency, about 15 strong, located in Calgary, Alberta. And we have clients, we have local, national, international clients. We focus on brand strategy, but we do everything from website development, social media, videography, animation, public relations, all kinds of stuff like that.
Lovely, quite a journey. But if I were to ask you that moment, which really triggered that, decision to start your own agency, what would that be?
Oh, well, honestly, I felt like I could do it better. And I think you won't get a different answer from anyone that started their own business. I often describe myself as unemployable. I think I have a lot of curiosity and probably a little bit of attitude that goes with it. I genuinely like to roll up my sleeves and do something. It can be
Uh-huh.
frustrating. I had management, director, VP positions in on client side. And at the end of the day, if I thought my ideas should go through, I had to not only
Hmm.
sell the eventual client and customer, but I had to sell the CEO in the three-piece suit that thought he knew better. And frankly, often did know better, I'm sure. But I got frustrated with the way that things were going. So I decided if I was going to be a brand strategist, I was going to do it a little bit differently. I was going to approach it
Hmm.
differently. I was going to charge differently, and I was going to execute differently. So that's really what caused me to start my small business. And then I
Hmm.
watched hundreds of thousands of dollars of work go out the door as I took my strategy and handed them off to an agency to execute the work. So I think the tipping point for that was, I wanted to get bigger and keep some of that work
Yeah.
in house. A lot of it is the fun stuff. But I'd be lying if I said I, had a vision board that said I wanted to start an agency. That was very much timing, and Robbie and I coming together at the exact right time
Yeah.
and deciding that we could do it together. So that was probably my aha moment was when he was hiring.
Lovely, lovely. And storytelling seems to be, at the heart of whatever you do. So, how did you first realize that storytelling could be the backbone of effective marketing? And how has your approach kind of evolved over time? How you apply these techniques at your agency?
Oh, well, yeah. Undeniably, storytelling is what evokes emotion in human beings. We're trained from a young age to
Hmm.
consume information via storytelling. I'm actually about to publish my book, and I have a chapter in
Okay.
there about how we're trained as children to respond to stories.
Hmm.
You think about, the little engine that could, and I don't know how much of the fables or parables or common kid stories translate overseas in that, but all of the nursery rhymes and all of the child stories and songs, they're all really designed to teach us more than just what's on the surface. And
Yeah.
as a father of two children, 8 and 6, I've got two boys, Caleb and Charlie. They love storytelling.
Oh,
They
okay.
love any opportunity to learn about dad, but they don't just want facts. They want a story, right? Same way as when they pour out their cereal that we probably shouldn't be feeding them. They don't turn to the side of the box to see the ingredients, right? Which is really the fact behind it. They're more invested in the story. They want to know what cartoon character has to tell them about it, and that's what they'll believe. So we don't really ever get out of that. And if you don't believe me, just find somebody that doesn't read or watch videos or movies or television or some sort. We love stories. So
Mhm.
we when we can get somebody to make themselves the hero in a story, it's the best way to evoke emotion. When we evoke emotion, we evoke action, loyalty, all things beautiful that brands and businesses need from their customers. So storytelling, that's the way to go. And it's good for me because I was never really good at math and science and all that jazz. I really could only write a good story. And I think we
Uh-huh.
have these people, non-professional storytellers all around us in life that tell you about that restaurant that they love, that tell you about the product that you absolutely have to try. We just do that professionally.
Great, great. And can you share, uh, one incident uh, wherein you have crafted a brand story that kind of really resonated with their audience and really kind of make the needle move for that particular client?
Sure. Um, well, actually, I'll go back to a cannabis brand that I launched. So a few
Hmm.
years back, I launched a cannabis brand called Dab Bods, and it was play on the phrase
Okay.
a dad bod, which everybody kind of knows is, that dad. He's not super fit, but he's strong, he's comfortable, he's loyal,
Hmm.
and it's what most of us men carry around, in exchange for that six pack that we probably all wish we had. When I was in cannabis, we were trying to make extracts and some of the more potent products approachable to everyday people. There was a stigma attached to it that it was super complicated and something that only like some junkie kid would be interested in setting up and experiencing, whereas there was a lot of purity and effect and benefits to it that appealed to the everyman. So we told a story of dab bods. Now, if you dab something, that's the same as intaking it with cannabis. And so there was the direct connection to it. And the D and the B in the brand was just a guy with kind of a gut. And then we said concentrates for everybody. And it really just sort of opened a conversation that it could be up for everybody. We started showing lifestyle imagery that connected with people like me, people with gray hair, people with kids, people that maybe liked consuming cannabis the way that others like responsibly consuming alcohol. Um, and we
Hmm.
actually found, because we were able to track these things both in store and in sales for our demographics, that we immediately caught the attention of the group that we wanted. Of course, we leveraged that by telling more stories, more focused stories, social media stories, and that difficult when it comes to cannabis and alcohol or anything, you know, um, regulated by the government. But basically told those stories. And when people started seeing that, oh, wow, this product really is for me, we saw a significant increase in that specific demographic.
And what would you say, you would be interacting with a lot of business owners or, rather overall businesses to kind of understand, what is their brand statement and, how they want to build on that. What kind of brand voice do they want to kind of go out. So what did you say, are the most common pitfalls businesses fall when, trying to tell their brand story, and how do you help them avoid these?
Great question. Honestly, brand is, well, my book, Brand is a Verb, means everything you do dictates who you are. We no longer live in a world where we can talk or tell people who we are. We can only really show them. They
Yeah.
have access to us 24/7 through social media and intrusive news, and just, everybody needs to be in the eye, but of the public, but that's a double-edged sword. So what
Yeah.
I always tell people is just be authentic, truly discover who you are, figure out the alternative, or what side of uh, any line or what side of any coin you're on. Don't be apologetic. If you want, you can be awful. You can have an opposing view to any normal, decent person. That's fine. I might not want to represent you, but that's a brand. We look at the strongest brands out there. Not all of them are loved by everyone, but they're typically loved passionately by a specific group. So I always say, be unique, be yourself, be something that you can stand behind at every turn, because it's the unique and authentic brands that are going to make it long term. If you try to copy somebody, you try to pretend or fake it till you make it, that will only last so long. And then the question is, how good is your product? If it's really good, then the people that love you will probably be in a larger group. If it's not that great, you might just cater to fanatics. But that aside, brand can't fix a crap product. But for your
Yeah.
brand, be you, be unapologetically you, and
Mhm.
enthusiastic about it. And then just cater to your people. Don't worry about anybody else.
Great, and you touched upon a very interesting point there about the role of social media, and shaping modern brand narratives, especially when it comes to small to mid-sized businesses. How do you kind of see how important is the role of social media in kind of forming that brand narrative?
I hate to say it because I'm not a huge fan of social media. I think,
Okay.
as a parent, any parent will tell you social media is not the cure for society. Having said that, it's
Yeah.
very much important when it comes to marketing. It's a wonderful free or paid or combination tool. For social media, I say two things. First of all, nobody can be social for you. So just get engaged, have a decision maker, somebody that truly knows the brand that's in there. You don't want to hire a part-time intern to run your social media. It won't go well. It'll be transparently weak, diluted, not real time enough, not the answers that you want. People want decision makers on there, and that can be difficult. On the flip side, you either have time or money. If you're a small to medium, like you said, and you have time, spend some of it on social media. Start a dialogue, start interacting. You got to give before you get. Oh, and it's funny, my mug, just because they didn't like it doesn't mean they didn't love it. So a lot of people get discouraged. Oh, I've been doing social media for 3 months and I'm lucky to get 5 likes on a post. That's fine. That's algorithm stuff. And that's human nature. Don't worry about it. For every 5 likes you get, there's another 25 people that saw it and liked it. They just don't click like. So don't be discouraged. Get in if you have time, engage with it. When people reach out to you, give them as much value as you possibly can. And to my earlier point, stay on brand. Look at everything in the world through your brand's filter to keep it relevant. Stay out of conversations that you can't connect to your brand. And then second, if you don't have time, that's probably because you have a lot of business and you have money. Hire somebody that will take your
Yeah.
brand seriously. I don't always recommend that you go with an agency model. They're typically a little more disconnected. And to my point earlier, social media really needs to be real time, engaged experts on your brand. I'm not saying it can't work or that you can't get a relationship with an agency that's responsive and engaged, but
Mhm.
typically we say we can't be social for you. We can support your desire to get involved in social media, but there's no shortcuts. You got to get on there. You got to do the work. You got to,
Yeah.
when in Rome, act like the Romans do.
And talking about brand storytelling, what is the role of that, small animal called AI in that? How do you, look at AI shaping the future of, brand storytelling or marketing strategies at large?
Another double-edged sword, but I think AI brings a ton of advantages to brand. So there's two ways that we look at AI. First of
Hmm.
all, AI can be the great equalizer. And what by that I mean, no longer does a company say, well, we've got John, so and you'll never have John, so you could never be as good as us because we've got the best lawyer or the best engineer. All of these tasks will eventually, and I believe, be taken over by AI,
Yeah.
which will make the great equalizer when it comes to actual talent. So what's the differentiator between options then? Well, it's going to be approach. It's going
But
to
do
be
you feel
brand,
it is
right?
good? I mean, do you feel it is good? Let's say we have a John, in my company, is really skilled at something. Let's say having, creating really good content, which kind of differentiates me or my niche from my competitors. So do you feel, that equality there and, kind of equalizing the skill set of a particular skilled resource is good or okay? I mean, what is your take on that?
I'm not here to tell you whether or not the world we're in right now is good or bad. I'm more a love the one you're with kind of guy and just sort of rolling with the punches. I will
Mhm.
say, I think I would rather see AI take over the mundane, repetitive tasks rather than the arts. I think
Yeah, the
used
creative part of
properly,
it.
it,
Yeah.
it Exactly. It frees us up to be
Yeah.
more creative. I will also say this, though, from a brand standard, and I've incorporated this into my business, you can train AI to be on brand at all times, even more
Yeah.
so than your best employee because they don't bring emotion into it, right? So I think from a brand standpoint, AI, there's a lot of uses to it. Yes, it's going to threaten some. Yes, it's going to take away some people's abilities and equip others to be better. It is what it is, and right now we're rolling with it. We're building websites with AI in it that are spectacular. I think the next wave is going to be exciting, and hopefully everybody can adapt.
Absolutely. And what is the best use of AI that you are making at Agency Atlas, or your agency that you're most kind of excited about?
That's a long list, but I'll talk about one that I was just talking
Yeah, yeah,
with a
please.
gentleman about last night, and that's customer service. So
Okay.
I don't know if the nature of your business involves any kind of cold calling, but the reality is cold calling works, but it is a trudge uphill. Just like
Yeah.
door-to-door sales, you got to get used to getting told no. I did door-to-door sales
Right.
for a short season in my late teens, and they literally train you. The training is how many no's can you take and keep going, right? Rocky's old. How many times can you get hit and get back up? AI presents a salesperson that 24/7 never loses their enthusiasm for sales. And no matter how you respond to them, they don't allow emotion to get involved. So I got a sales guy that gets told 3 or 4 times to go
Mhm.
kick rocks, and you're useless, and I hate seeing you in my inbox, and your mother should be ashamed of you. You can't tell me that guy's super eager for that next hour of calls. As
Yeah.
well, when they're abusive to us, we have one or two options. We can either lash out, which we don't want to do professionally, or we can just back off and go away. Or AI can just stick around and take abuse all day until something triggers something, and all of a sudden they go, well, actually, maybe you could help me with that, which human beings have been known to do. So I think from a customer service standpoint, especially once we get to the point where you can talk to an AI bot, you can interrupt them mid sentence. You can guide their conversation much like human beings would. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful fit for AI, and one that would be incredibly cost saving as well.
Lovely, lovely. I mean, that's a very good point there. And talking about marketing trend, what is that one trend? We are in 2025 that kind of you believe is here to stay, and and probably where do you feel are we heading with the new sensation, or let's say the new trickeries up there?
I don't know about trends, right? They come and go. I think the best brands work with them and then sort of, either stick with them or let them exit gracefully. AI would be the one that I talk about the most these days. And I don't want to
Yeah.
just want to repeat myself. I will say this, speaking from an agency, I think the days of big giant agencies is going away. I have seen in my city and in my country, um, the best marketing and the best art pieces that I'm seeing are coming from boutique, smaller agencies. These larger agencies, even in town, they're starting to get bought out by bigger and bigger. They lose their ability to be approachable, to be relatable. They lose the ability to have
Yeah.
that one-on-one relationship from an account manager standpoint, or client to owner. It
Yeah.
just becomes big and faceless, and it loses that je ne sais
Hmm.
quoi. So I would say one of the trending things, and I can tell you as a beneficiary of this, we're seeing a lot of
Yeah.
the large agencies start losing big clients to some of these smaller agencies. And personally, I love that trend.
Great, yeah. All right. So coming from an entrepreneur, so let's kind of talk about some lessons that you have learned about
Mm,
leadership in your journey, of being an entrepreneur, and leading the show at your agency.
hmm Oh man, I know. Where do you want to start? Again, I didn't go to business school. I was an artist that decided to start a business and call himself the CEO.
Mhm.
So I've learned a lot of business lessons. I will tell you that if you don't know what you're doing financially, you're going to be in big trouble no matter what you try to do. Get your books figured out. Have some sort of talented accountant or mentor that can walk you through the importance of budgets and the importance of cash flow. Um, don't spend your first success, bank it, because you got plenty of failures coming around the corner. So
True.
just use that as a way to sort of stretch you out. I personally say try to bootstrap. I feel that's kind of an arrogant blanket statement to make because I don't know what you're trying to do for a business, but beware who you bring in and what their money entitles them to. I think picking your partners in marriage and in business are equally difficult. Love is a verb kind of thing. Like it's the actions you take, and then your team is everything. Be careful what you say to them in frustration. Be careful the stresses or problems that you bring to the table. Especially in my
Mhm.
industry, I need to keep my artists light and happy. Sometimes during some very stressful or dark times. So I've learned the hard way, admittedly, that one moment of frustration can set you up for months of setbacks if you don't manage it correctly. So be very careful how you treat your people. And then finally, I'd be remiss if I don't say, get a brand, understand your identity, be it apologetically, be different, have value, care about the people you serve, and don't try to be all things to all people.
Great. Yeah, good points there, Chad. All right. Finally, before we, let you go, let's play a quick rapid fire. I hope you're game for it.
Okay, let's do it. It's early, but I'm ready.
All right. Your favorite spot?
My favorite spot, like just to go,
Yeah.
like on earth, that's my house. I've got two boys under 10, and a wife that I
Okay.
love and a very comfortable setting. So my house.
All right. Your celebrity crush?
Oh, Larry David, and not in a sexual way, but I'm just not really big on celebrities. But there's a couple dudes in Hollywood that I really admire, and Larry David's top of the list.
All right. Your last Google search?
Let's be real. I'll check it right now. It
Sure.
was the Calgary Hotel Association. That is a group that we are pitching. They help bring tourism and put heads in beds in Calgary. So I was doing a little bit of research on some of the stuff that they've done in the past.
All right. Typical entrepreneur pitch all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What did you do with your first paycheck, Chad? The first one of your life.
Well, I know what I did with my first paycheck, and it was my first five I saved up and I bought a drum set. That was huge for me. And I got it with my
Mhm.
paper route and that. So the first one didn't quite cut it, but I put, I think, the first five or six together.
What is that one thing that you would want to change about your overall entrepreneurial journey?
I'd like cash flow to stop being such a damn pain in the ass. I would like to know that every single person that I serve cares as much about my bottom line as I do.
Yeah.
I think everything I would like to change about being an entrepreneur has to do with how I get paid and when I get paid.
Ah, that is so much pain there. All right. We'll not grill you any further, Chad. You have been a sport. Thank you so much once again for taking out time to do this with us. And for our audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
You can find us online, agencyatlas.ca. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Chad Hason, Hason. I'm the only one. Feel free to find us from there. You can pretty much find anything.
All right. Thank you, Chad. This was a great session. Yeah. Cheers, man.
Thank you very much.